So within that, how do you, because I find that when I say things are always working out or something along those lines, it does give me ease and it does focus me. But
well, we have something important here that we want to ask you. Do you mean it? In other words, when things are working out for you, you say it and you mean it. But when you're feeling frustration and you say, things are always working out for me, do you mean it? Or do you have to reach for that meaning? What are the easy existing matches that show me that things are always working out for me? In other words, that's the work. You can't just say the words. You have to evoke the feeling, because your feeling is your indication of your point of attraction, and your point of attraction has a lot of momentum. And so have you noticed that the more frustration you feel, the worse it gets for a while?
Absolutely.
And so let's go back to the details. You focus on them, and let's walk through this a few times until you can find your path to a different emotion. It's easier if you have pre-paved ahead of time before you step into it. So is this something that's pretty common?
Yes.
And it's at work?
No, it's just
in life?
In life.
For example, I'm going somewhere and doing something with these people. Where and who are they?
No, for example, like in the hotel just now, I had a later checkout, the guy wouldn't give me a later checkout again. I went up to my room, the card didn't work. I went back down to him and said, the card doesn't work, I'm going to be late. And I was very frustrated because I thought I was going to be late. And he was just following a process. There was no understanding on the other side. So in the midst
of all of that, because you've got an intention that you're trying to accomplish and you might not be able to accomplish it, but did you do any pre-paving in advance of that?
No.
And so you come away from this experience acknowledging most people go into the next hotel remembering what went wrong in the last hotel. It's like Akashic Records.
Yeah.
And so you sort of have this thing going on that this always happens with this airline, or this always happens with this. And so
I do repeat, yes. I can identify repetition.
And so in the moment, things are always working out for me, blah, 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 blah. But did you miss the meeting?
No.
So you got here.
Yeah, because I hustle.
And look where you're sitting. That's weird. That's things sort of working out for you on steroids, isn't it?
I segment intended for that, though. That
really?
Yeah.
Nothing's ever really going wrong. It's just giving you an opportunity to clarify. And things like this often seem frivolous and not so important in the scope of bigger things, but it's all the same. Big intentions, strong desires, or little ones, doesn't matter. When you live something, you can clean it up after the fact, you can clean it up in the middle of it, or you can clean it up before you get into it to begin with. It's easier to clean it up before you get into it, but that takes really strong determination that you want your life to go well. Well, why does your life need to go perfectly every moment? Is that what you said before you came into this body? Get it all ready for me and I'll come. You didn't say that. You didn't say control the conditions. You knew you had guidance and you knew that you could be steady. So do you need to really pre-pave every moment with discipline and determination? I need to be really disciplined and I need to do this and I need to get all my ducks in a row before I go anywhere? Or would it be all right for you to just relax and say, things usually go very well for me. That's how I feel. I feel generally blessed. Things go well for me. And then when things are going well, note those. Focus on those things. So the general emotional rampage that you are rampaging to the universe is, I'm having a lot of fun and things go well for me and I'm figuring it out as I go. And I don't need special treatment and I don't need everything to be all lined up. I can move through a lot of moving parts with my practiced bag of marbles with me at all times, where I mostly feel good and I mostly feel confident and I mostly feel sure-footed. And isn't it fun? Aren't I having fun watching things just line up? And isn't it kind of fun? Esther remembers one of the most vivid things that ever happened to them. They drove around the nation in monster buses, a series of 4 different ones, for 12 years. Esther did all of the driving, and Jerry was a magnificent navigator. And one day, Jerry said, let's stop at the next rest stop. I'd like to check the oil. And Esther is thinking, why would you want to check the oil? Are you bored? Because all of the gauges were good. And they were wanting to get to where they were going before dark, but he wanted to. And so they stopped, and Esther remembers thinking, she remembers being on the negative end of the stick. Why are you taking the time for this? And then trying to talk herself to the other end of the stick, but really sort of being on the negative end of the stick. I don't know what this is all about. Men, it's easy, men always needing to check their oil. When I got gauges. So Jerry's behind the bus, between the tow car and the bus, and he checks the oil, and it's not easy because it's a big old engine, and even finding the dipstick is not an easy thing to do. But Esther's watching him in the rear view cameras, and he's checking the oil, and Esther's thinking, just as I thought. And so then they get in, and they drive off, and they drive for several miles, and then they stop again. And when they stop again, they usually, when they stop, would walk around the rig a few times just to get their body feeling good. And as they walked around the rig, there was oil splashed all over the tow car and all over the back of the bus. And Jerry had checked the oil, he just didn't put the oil cap back on. And so now Esther thought, did I sense that coming or did I cause it? We need to check the Akashic records. But in any event, now it doesn't really matter very much how it came about. What now? Yeah? What are we going to do now? And so Jerry said to Esther, we need to plug that up because it's just going to keep blowing the oil out. And so what do we have in the bus that's about the right size? And it's not something that you can pressurize. In other words, it couldn't be tight on it. It had to be able to breathe a little bit. And so Esther's looking for this and looking for that. And how about this? Too big. How about this? Too little. How about this? Not right. And now Esther's really having a good time. She's running out. How about this? Nope. How about this? Nope. Everything in every drawer Esther's considering. She's looking in the toolboxes. She's looking down under the undercarriage. She's looking back where the hoses are. And she finds this brass coupling that you screw part of it on the permanent place, and you screw the other part of it on the hose, and then it just clips together so you don't have to do that screw thing on the hose all the time. Esther likes those. She wants them everywhere in her life. And so she found one in the toolbox, and she said, how about that? And Jerry said, that's perfect. It's just the perfect size. It's heavy enough that it will ride there. And so Esther watched him hold it over the hole, but he pinched it, and it released the small part.
Oh, no.
Right into where the oil goes. And Esther said, oh, that can't be good. Because neither one of them knew what that meant or where it would go. Could it get into the engine? Now are we dead in the water? Can we not go at all? So Jerry climbed up on the ladder and held the flashlight. And Esther looked down into the hole, and she said, I can see it. It's sitting right on the edge of something far down in there. And Jerry said, your fingers are skinny. Can you get your fingers in there, and can you get hold of that, and can you get it out? And he said, don't knock it in. I said, I think I can do that. So now they're a team. She gets it out. And they're the happiest people who have ever lived. They're far happier than they were before he checked the oil. They're far happier than they were before because they have figured something out. And so Jerry ends up finding something. They sealed it with tinfoil. They put a rubber band around it and drove off for many miles to a place that would have another replacement cap. And as Jerry got out of the bus to go in, Esther said, get two. And Jerry said, no, because if that ever happens again, I'll just kill myself. And Esther said, yeah, but you'll be dead and I'll still need the other oil cap. What we're saying is, there is life and fun and adventure in discovering your talents, your abilities, your flaws, your weaknesses, your strong points, your weak points. In other words, none of you said, I will be perfect and you must be too. All of you said, I'm standing here and I want to be over there. What is the most resourceful way for me to get over there? And your inner being said, we always will know and we always will guide you. And to the degree that you will be light enough to allow the unfolding, in other words, if you're looking for your life or anyone else's to be perfect around you, you're going to be constantly disappointed and frustrated. But if you acknowledge that, hey, we're all in this together and we're figuring it out as we go, and together we make more than we do individually, and when we don't push against the other parts of us, then we really make more than we are individually. And that's the game. Isn't it? Do it. You can do it.
So every time I think of him, I've got to work on that, on getting to a love for him.
Or you can just love the ones that are easy to love and practice it. In other words, it doesn't matter why you're feeling it. You can selectively sift until you find it. Start with the easiest of things. Don't start with the hardest of them. And of course, you find them over and over again. But don't need somebody to be lovable in order to love. Love them because you're a lover. And you are. You are. That's why it hurts so much when somebody doesn't get it. You try so hard to be of value, and when they don't let the value in, then it seriously makes you wonder what you've been doing, what the game really is. But once you find this absolute connection with your inner being, and you're not going to maintain it all the time. Esther's been doing this a long time, and she had a hard week last week over something really insignificant. And she's better for it. And you are too, because we told you the story. You're not ever going to figure it out. Nothing's ever going to go good for you or anyone you're focused on if you don't feel good. You can't influence anything to a better place. Sometimes people say, oh, you didn't need to do that. And Esther will say, oh, I never do anything because I needed to do it. If I needed to do it, it wouldn't work out at all. I only do what I want to do because that's where all my resources come from. Not out of need, out of pure desire. It's like someone sent an email in for the broadcast last Wednesday, and the email said, when I'm sad and I pray, am I praying for more sadness? Yes. Yes. Because you can't attract differently than you are feeling. Your words are irrelevant. It's how you feel. So then we explain, when you offer prayers of appreciation, those are big time prayers. That gets a lot done. When you pray out of need or desperation, what are you amplifying? And why do you feel terrible? Because Source is hearing you, but you can't hear Source hear you. You can't hear the answer. Yes, your prayers are being answered every single time. But in your desperation, you're on a totally different bandwidth. This has been a really good discussion. Something else?
I'm good.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.
Further back. It's kind of hard to be human because you've been distracted by so many things that occupy your mind and then occupy your point of attraction. But haven't you felt strong resonance with what we've been talking about here today? Don't you feel like you can step into this confusing space and hold your own and show yourself how it really works, as you often do? We're not for a moment suggesting that you haven't already been doing this.
Okay.